So you're back from your trip.
Yeah. Excited. It's dope.
How was the island? Or is it considered an island?
No, it's not an island. I mean, it's, you know, what's funny is I don't do a lot of research in general. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I got down to Colombia, went to Cartagena, and I did not know, bro, how hot it was. I had no freaking clue how hot and how humid it was. And so we're kind of walking around, we're doing our thing. No big deal. Just, you know, it's beautiful, beautiful culture. And I would say I'm already, like, as a former athlete, I've always sweat. You know what I mean? Or is it sweated? But I've always sweat, right? And outside of when I was fasting, you know, I told you, like, dude, I'm not sweating anymore. So, but we're down there, and I would say, like, within 30 minutes, bro, of way less than that, within 15, 20 minutes of us being kind of walking around, I'm drenched.
So it's like training camp heat.
Yeah, I mean, so this is what I tell people, right? It's Miami. If Miami met Las Vegas and had a child named New Orleans who had an adopted sister, that would be, or adopted child, that would be Cartagena.
Very interesting.
Right? I mean, that makes sense to me. And, like, it's so much and so akin to, like, a New Orleans.
One of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I love New Orleans. New Orleans used to be my adopted city, bro. Man, it was such a culturally rich, environment. Definitely would encourage people to go out there. I was down there for about a week. Food was fantastic. The culture was amazing. It's a tourist area for sure. Mm-hmm. But there's also other parts, like, where you can go out and see how real, quote unquote, like, the locals or Colombians are doing their thing, and that's kind of what I really wanted to do, right? Like, one of the things that was a benefit, because I was there for about a week, right? It gave me the opportunity to go to the other side of, quote unquote, it's not an island, but, like, the other side of the. I don't even really want to call it a gulf, but there is a body of water that kind of separates the two. Okay. So I went to the other side of that, which is still all Cartagena, and just really see how locals do it. And you better brush up on your Spanish, because it's not like, we go to Cabo or
it ain't that. Yeah, you got to really be able to communicate.
This is a Spanish-speaking first country. You know what I mean? And so, but shout out to all the technology that's out there too.
Google Translate and all that.
Google Translate was the business. I mean, I got it on my phone, and I went ahead and dropped in a currency converter. So you know how much you're spending or whatnot, and but they do take American dollars and things like that.
How much is the American dollar worth there?
So this is crazy. When we were down there, it's 0.000025.
But you got to move the decimal, or is it really just worth, like, basically nothing?
No, the dollar is worth everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So how much is a dollar worth in Colombian money? Colombian money. Yeah.
Pesos.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 0.000025. Mm-hmm. Right. So basically, 300,000 pesos is $75 US.
There we go. That's the answer I'm looking for. Gotcha.
Yeah. So put it in perspective, and I'm going back because we're gonna, obviously you and I have some things offline that we always talk about from an investment perspective, but that was one of the reasons why I went down there, is to look at the Airbnb market and kind of see what that would look like. Mm-hmm. I think that there's some legs there, and so as an example, you could buy a house or an Airbnb condo apartment situation, right, for like anywhere between 89 to 189,000, depending on whatever metrics you're looking at. And so you start to evaluate that, and you say, wow, there's some real opportunity here. So that was another reason that I went down. So I'm planning on going, knock on wood, I would love to go before the end of the year, before the turn of the calendar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I want to go back.
We're trying to get back immediately.
Yeah, I do. Because, there's plans. It is vacation, but it's work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm down there for a purpose and being intentional with it. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you asking. It feels like forever since we've done this.
We've been busy, man. You know me. I'm in the midst of a one heck of a tornado, and just we just been on it. Anybody knows us knows that we don't sit still for long.
Can't.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, and so for me, because I went to, and this is how all this show got, today's episode, right, got underway. So Pete Rose, really
shout out to
friend
Pete.
of mine. Yeah, what up, Pete? I just bought a dog a couple months ago, right? Everybody knows what I went through. If you don't, check out, I think it's episode 198. Uncuffed? 196?
96, yeah.
Yeah, 196. Check it out, Uncuffed. We talked about it. But I got a dog, Boston, my Doberman. And so, I'm moving so fast, like you just said, and I realized, okay, I got this puppy. He's like 3 months old at the time. I wanted to go out of the country, but I'm like, shit, who's gonna watch the dog? And I've been doing a lot of research on on Doberman specifically, like super loyal, very loving, right? But they can go into a depressed state if there's some separation anxiety. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. I didn't want to board him, and I've never been this way. But I'm thinking like, man, I don't want to board him. My parents, God bless them, but they shouldn't have to deal with all that, because he needs to be out and do his thing, whatever. It's just, I had to think, and then shout out to Pete Rose. We had talked, and I know he's a big dog lover.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, let me start getting my dog acclimated to coming over to his house, getting to know him, and also Pete, knowing how Boston operates and everything. And so we had the tailgate. Yeah, for my brother's birthday. Which
shout out to Drew.
Yeah, what up? We've done that for about 7 years. And so that was a really cool opportunity for me to give him a condensed version of babysitting or dog sitting, if you will. And then this dude, I'm walking into Pete's house, and I see this dude, and I'm like, okay, hey, what's up? No big deal. We chop it up, end up finding out. We had this conversation on while he was sitting on one couch and I was on another, and I was just super blown away. The humility. I was blown away by his story. And then when you see him, there's some characteristics that, are noticeable, right? But I thought to you, and I think I sent you a text, or maybe I called you the next day or something like that.
You're just like, hey, I got our next guest.
Yeah, because it's so interesting. So without further ado, I'm excited. Welcome back to the TheVisionLab podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Cuffey, alongside with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Mosley. VisionLab is the official growth mindset podcast for all visionaries worldwide. And we're showing mad love to the cigar community. It's here in the lab where we uncover people's visions and dreams and how those dreams actually come into reality. Mo, I'm excited. Met this gentleman basically 2 times at this point and have been impressed with him each time. So why don't you tell us who we have on the show today?
Today's guest is a native of Springfield, Missouri, the Show Me State. He is a YouTuber. He is a bodybuilder, but not the average bodybuilder. We'll get into that. He is a veteran of what's that?
He's a Guinness Book record holder, I believe.
Yeah,
too.
He's a record holder. He's a veteran of management. He's a jack of all trades, and some interesting trades under his belt. Everybody, please welcome Devin Cara to the TheVisionLab podcast.
What up, and good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you, guys.
Well, I want to say thank you. I feel like you're taking a shot on with us. We met just a month
and a half, maybe.
Month and a half ago, middle of September. Complete stranger. So I just want to say thank you, for being so open, so vulnerable, honest, transparent, kind is a good word, I think, too. But like I said, when we first met, dude, I really feel like your story is so unique but it also permeates and resonates with so many different people. So why don't we kind of get into it? I'll start with the kind of the obvious thing, right? If you're tuning in online, and by the way, if you like the content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button as well and share it with a friend. But you and I were in the kitchen of your cousin's house, right? And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, well, he holds the Guinness World Record for most hairiest man or something like that. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, take your shirt off. We're not going to have you do that today.
It's my calling card, though.
It is?
I mean,
Okay, well, hey, if
no.
we're on YouTube, but and I looked up and I said, holy shit, this dude looks like daggum Wolverine in person, man. Like, it's crazy. And so we started talking, man, and I was blown away with your humility and the way that, you walk with grace and accept it. You know what I mean? So for those that don't know, kind of catch us up to speed on all that.
All that? Man, that's like an entire life story almost. I'll give you like a good rundown on like, I don't know how it came to be, but, obviously I have two older brothers and, being the youngest, I knew like I was like they had facial hair real early. I mean, I could just kind of tell like, okay, it's definitely like in the cards. And of course my father, even though my parents got divorced at a young age, I mean, I was aware of how hairy he was, but being like, that's all you've been exposed to, you don't really think anything different of it. Mm-hmm. But then, right around like age 11 or 12 or whatever, you're like, oh, I can't wait to have hair on my legs. And yeah, I got hair on my legs. and then you get armpit hair. And then I think it must have been like 7th grade or something like that. I was young, maybe like 11 or 12. And I saw like peach fuzz down the middle of my chest. Wow. And that was like, I just assumed that's all kind of normal. But I think by the time I hit 8th grade, like, I had hair on my shoulder.
You had a full Manchu.
Yeah, I mean, I was like the kid in 8th grade with like full sideburns. I had chest hair and shoulder hair and all that stuff. Man, I remember one time I went to, this is definitely, so like when we got done with 8th grade that summer, we had like a little 8th grade graduation party.
Yeah.
And
it was a pool party, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know what, man? I'm like, I go right on out there, take off my shirt and hop in the water. And like, I think I pop up from the water and it's just like everyone's quiet. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, like what happened? I was kind of like looking around and people were like, you got a lot of hair. And I was like, yeah, I mean.
And you didn't know anything different.
No, I mean, I guess I hadn't taken my shirt off, like in front of people. Like you just don't, you're not walking around without a shirt on very much.
Every day.
Yeah, and so I think from then on, I mean, going to either a pool party. I mean, being a freshman in high school, playing football. I mean, the seniors would come up to you in the back, in the locker room. They come up behind me and just start like pulling out my back hair, man.
Oh,
like they know how to like mess with you. They're just coming up and pulling out the back hair. I'm like, oh god. And that was freshman year. I mean, it only like gets bigger and like what would I say, fuller, thicker, everything. I mean, I think it's funny when my friends in high school would be like, man, you have like more chest hair than my father. And it's like, I don't think your father's ever going to have, like, you kind of quit. And mine just, like, kept coming in and getting, like, fuller and thicker. And so this is really, like, to me at this age, I'm like.
This is a toned-down version.
The cool thing about it, though, I get to brag because, this is, like, the virality of my YouTube stuff, being shirtless on the internet and everything else. Like, I like the way it looks. It has, like, a cool pattern. When you see, like, a dude without a shirt on.
Well, you're comfortable in your own skin. You're good to go.
Absolutely. And so people are like, I can't believe how comfortable you are. You have so much confidence. And I was like, well, I personally like the way it looks. And I think it looks cooler than other hairy dudes. So, like, you see some hairy dudes and it looks kind of like a mess.
But what's interesting is that, and we're not going to, I mean, unless you want to see it.
No, you're good right now, boss.
But what's interesting about it is you have all this hair as a middle schooler, but you lose your hair in high school.
Oh, yeah. So genetically, they're very linked. Like, if you look it up, it's like basically, I think the receptivity of the hairs to testosterone or something like that. So it either The other hair follicles around the body will definitely be stimulated and grow more. Meanwhile, the head hair falls out. So it's very common to see like hairy dudes who just go bald. And I think I was going bald in high school. I think my senior pictures is kind of like receding hairline, and my buddies would be like, you know, making fun of me, like, man, you're going bald. You're totally gonna lose. You're totally gonna go bald. And I was just like, that's bullshit. Like, you know, it's just the way my hairline is. You know, I'm not gonna go bald or whatever.
Like, look at me, dude.
Yeah, right. Like, I didn't really like. It's like, I'm not gonna listen to that. And I remember freshman year in college, I was up in the weight room, and I remember the day it happened. I already had like short hair and everything. Not the day that it happened. The day you see it, as like you go, holy shit, you're bald. Like I was in the weight room and like doing some curls, and there's mirrors everywhere, front to back, and I'm sitting there doing some curls, and I'm looking in a mirror, and I notice a guy behind me. From behind, I see the back of his head, the top of his head, and I'm like, that guy's bald. and I'm like, and I'm just like, wait, you know, you kind of start, no, that's me. I'm like holding the weights. I'm like, no, that's me. I'm like, oh my God. I went out, I went straight to like Walgreens and bought some Rogaine, you know. I'm sitting there like, oh, come on, Karl Malone. What's this going to do? Like, I'll put it on every day. I'm reading the directions. And like, I think within a week, I'd just gotten some hair clippers, and I was like, I am just shaving my head. And I never had hair ever since. So.
I want to back up, because obviously this is a growth mindset show, right? And so take us back to that 8th grade, freshman year. Like, we all know that during that time of our lives, right, there's a lot of making fun of and people picking on you. You talked about, you know, seniors pulling the back hair or whatever. What gave you kind of that mental fortitude to kind of fight through that and not, or maybe you did kind of succumb to it? Like, what was that experience like?
Well, I look back and I don't recall it as being that like, it wasn't a big level of bullying. Luckily, I had like some older brothers. I look at it more like it was in jest, and they really, it wasn't like prominent, you know. It's not like something that happened every day. It wasn't that bad. But what would I say? Yeah, it just wasn't something like, it wasn't like tormenting. It wasn't bullying. And I came from a small enough high school too. Like, it was a really tight knit community and things like that. So as far as like being that different, and that was another thing too. Like, I never really considered myself that different in a way. Like, you know, now it's like, looks like that's a weird genetic trait you have that just hasn't stopped. Like, it's still just in full force, and it's all over the internet, you know? So,
and that's actually a great point, because that's, you know, one of the things I was thinking about is like, how do you at that age kind of understand like, hey, I'm different, but I'm not different, right? Like, how do you fight those battles internally or mentally?
You know, for everything that's different about us, I considered it like a strength. So I loved it.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I mean, it's amazing that you felt like that at like 14 years old. Like, I don't know if I would have been, you know what I mean, that mentally strong. So that's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it. And then there'd come times where, like, you know, we'd be partying like high school into college, and it was a pretty commonplace thing for me to take my shirt off before the end of the evening.
That was your party trick?
Yeah. Oh, the greatest
Forget
trick.
a keg stand. Watch this.
Yeah. Take your shirt off, do the keg stand. I think by the time I was in college, I found out, this is weird, and I actually did a video on this. I can light it on fire.
You can light what on fire?
I can light my chest hair and my shoulder hair on fire. What the hell? Like, it's so full and thick. All you do is like comb it out. You take a lighter to it, and it'll just burn. You just blow it out. No harm, no nothing. And people are like,
you got your lighter on you?
No, I don't. Oh my God. Well, I don't want to set the alarms off in this building and get us banned from here, but that's, oh my gosh.
It would smell terrible. I'd usually do it at the end of the night, because I knew, I was like, well, good, no one's going to smell me. I'm passing out now.
Oh my God.
But you saw the shoulder hair.
I did. Well, not that, but the fact you started setting his hair on fire. Like, what the heck? Oh man. Goodness gracious.
I don't advise that. I mean, and that was one of the funny things on YouTube. I did a video like that. I had this brilliant idea. This must be the next viral video I'm going to do. And then YouTube's like, we can't monetize this. It needs to have an 18 or older tag on there, and this is like considered self-harm. And I was like, oh, I just considered it a
Self-harm.
novelty party trick. Yeah, like self-harm. I was like, okay.
Y'all let
Well,
everything else fly on
technically-
YouTube, but I can't set my own body hair on fire.
Technically,
All right,
it really is.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, you're putting yourself on fire.
This is true. Yeah. That was very interesting, Cub. That was very, very interesting.
So now we kind of grown up, started, receding hairline, accept the balding. One of the things I really appreciate about you, and you've been consistent, right, is this like tonality of humility, and I'm just kind of curious, where does that stem from? Have you always been that way, kind of a quiet strength that you possess?
Yeah, I think I'd say it's something like that. I mean, it's funny because back in high school, I was very much like a class clown, got voted funniest person. I mean, I had a big personality, and I consider myself like a pretty friendly person. So I tried to like befriend everybody, and just, I think there was a lot of humility with that. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, you got to accept everybody. But another thing that I grew up with is like, I had like a big gap in my teeth growing up, like a really big gap. And I've actually had like, had braces in college. So it was something like I grew up with, and it wasn't even until after high school where I was like, I'm going to get like some orthodontics and things like that. And I didn't really date very much in high school. I mean, obviously, grew up having crushes on any girl that was just too beautiful to have. Like the whole story, like every
you
like
loved
every
Jennifer
dude.
Aniston, didn't you?
Courtney Cox all the way.
Okay,
man.
there we go. My guy, come on.
We can't do the no. Friends is terrible. No,
Agreed.
but I didn't date, and I felt like I grew some humility. I also feel that because my older brothers didn't really date they didn't date either, and it was like just learned by example. But as far as my own personal humility, I feel like I was more like an ugly duck. And so I didn't really grow into, I mean, I actually have a bit of like narcissism in a way, especially for being hairy or being out there, to put myself out there and be on YouTube and all that stuff. But at the same time, like, I don't even think I became attractive until late 20s or early 30s. And then like starting to take care of myself, being healthy, being fit, post orthodontics and all that stuff. Embracing
now,
being
bitches.
bald. Right. I mean, all those things were all of a sudden it's like, hey, I look great. And then I got married. So it was like, I always look at it like, it was just a funny thing. Like, I'm ready to date. And then I just got married. That was it. I didn't really do even much more dating. So,
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you. You're not tainted.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This guy. So let me switch gears, right? Because you've got these various different aspects of you, right? Like, you're a world beard champion, you're a bodybuilder, right? So obviously you mentioned your YouTube page or whatnot. I mean, let's start with the beard thing. Like, how does one register for the World Beard Championships? What categories are there? What category did you win?
Let's ask the real question. Can I grow a thick beard?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's the other thing. Once you start growing a beard and then you do the competitions, and it was very superficial, and it's supposed to be like, I remember the best way someone described it is like, it's like the Westminster of beards. Like, you all walk out there, there's categories for each kind of beard, and I shit you not, you are just being judged on your beard, and they're so pretentious, and that's all it is. So every dude's like measuring each other up every time. You walk by a beard, you look at something, that's not a beard, that's not, like.
He measured you up when you walk.
So many directions.
No, I mean, like, what strikes me now is that, like, we're 100% bearded out of the people in this room. That's how bearded. That's how accepted beards are now, man. Like, and I'm not saying like I always like to say I was cool before everyone else did it, kind of, sort of, but I am just now amazed at how accepted beards are. Like, and it's been many years. This was like pre-Duck Dynasty, like like mid 2000s. And I remember like one of my buddies was telling me, he's like, beards are like the new goatee. Like, the goatee was the counterculture thing to do. And then after a while, I was like, you want to be like different? Just grow a beard. Like, no one walks around with a beard. And I think it was 2006. I was like, I think I was trying to grow a beard. And I mean, the internet's still young. I'm looking up on the internet and I see like just the coolest, biggest beards. Like, you know, this was, God, how many years ago was that?
23,
like 17 years ago. So to see like some dude with a red beard down to his belly, and then like the Germans style their beards. They're putting shapes and like wild
the mustaches with all that stuff.
No, they got curls.
Yeah.
Like curls and symmetry and all this stuff. And I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. Like who would have thought? And I always stuck to the thing, like, if I can't do it, then it's impressive. It's impressive to me if I can't do it. And so I saw those beards and I was like, I can do that. Like, you know, being as hairy as I had a beard when I was in high school. I was like, I can grow a beard, and then you grow it for a couple weeks. You're like, this itches, I'm done. You know? But so then I started growing out my beard, did some research, found out like there's a whole beard team USA. There's a guy running the beard team.
There's a beard team USA.
Now
are there beard Olympics or is there an Olympic team?
That is, well,
that's what they're headed towards.
That's what this is.
That's basically what it is. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's like the beard Olympics, or like, but really the better way to put it is like the Westminster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're just going to be judged. It doesn't. You don't have to be athletic at all. It doesn't matter what you could. I remember we used to joke, is like, especially back then in the 20-aughts, it'd be like, you just go get a homeless dude, he'd win one of these categories. That's how like few beards there were, and now it's like the whole Duck Dynasty thing happened. I mean, every dude has a beard now. Like, it's almost commonplace. I mean, it really is striking because remember going back then, like, you could turn on a commercial for, I don't know, whatever deodorant, whatever it was, some man's clean shaven every time. No chest hair, nothing, just clean shaven. And that was a normal thing. And like, I remember like seeing a bearded dad in a car commercial driving the SUV, and I'm like, this just wouldn't have been here 10 years ago. Like, beards were,
that's crazy,
counterculture, not business. You know.
When you were growing up playing ball, did your coach in high school allow you guys to have facial hair?
The school district did not allow us to have facial hair. So what I would do, because on Fridays you get out of school early if you got a game or whatever. So I would just grow everything out during the week, and then Friday we got out of school early. I go get my hair cut and cleaned up or whatever. So I'd have a beard from Friday night till Monday morning, and then I'd shave it, and then go back to school.
So you had a beard in high school?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
And then in college we weren't allowed to have facial hair during the season. So as soon as all season hit, I just let it all go.
Well, I'm late to the game, but I had the mustache and the little peach fuzz at the bottom. But I remember my high school coach was like, "You gotta shave that." I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Like, dude, this looks like I just fell and hit my chin." You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? But no, it's to your point. Like, you don't realize it, but in commercials and TV ads or whatever, like, you didn't see that, and now. It's everywhere.
It's an industry.
Yeah. So circa 2006, 2007, somewhere around that time frame, right? You discover this Westminster Beard Challenge competition or whatever. What is it like when you get out there and you're actually being judged?
I mean, it's really nervous. Like, you're real nervous. That's the other thing. Like, kind of this, you only get one shot. You're going to walk out there, and I mean, you really don't know. You're just like, what do I do? You just go walk down a line, and it's pretty fast, I guess. But I guess for the most part, though, like, you have wild dreams because there's usually like notoriety, like the people who win first or whatever it is, or the biggest beard, all this stuff. Like, what was starting to happen was it was making its way into like the media. There were pictures and websites and all this stuff was being generated. So you knew that, like, well, if I come in first or whatever, I get to say, I'm like, well, you could walk around and say, I'm a world beard champion. I get to do all this stuff. So,
what was your category?
So there's 16 categories.
Because they got
That's
beards,
crazy.
mustaches, goats.
Yeah.
Fu Manchu. They got all that stuff.
What's the Fu Man? Is that?
That's the
Fu Manchu's like this, and it goes straight
Oh,
down.
okay.
So
Yeah.
it looks like
the Chinaman thing.
Like a Chinaman. And
Yeah.
so that was a really cool thing too. A lot of people would dress up and do like different, I mean, like entire outfits. And so you'd see guys wearing like the what was it, like the bamboo hats and
like the guy from Kill Bill and all that.
Yeah, they did. They would dress up and look like that. They're in the Fu Manchu category, and and it's so funny because like there were those categories, and I'm telling you, all you got to do is enter some of those categories, you get like third place because only like 3 or 4 people would do that one. That one was kind of odd, but then you have like a full beard category, which is like just who has the biggest, longest beard. Like that was like a huge category. And so, yeah, there'd be like 30 or 40 people in there. And you see someone with like a half beard or whatever, you're like, yeah, he ain't going to win. Like you're looking for like the guy with the beard down to his balls. Like you're just like, I want to see the longest. And
dude with a beehive on his face.
Yeah, man. There's one dude, he looked like a wizard. He'd come out with like a staff and like a shawl, all this like,
this sounds way too good to be true.
And that's like, it was so cool and it was fun. Here's something for you though. Because this is back in like 2006, and the guy who ran the thing, he would actually organize the trips and like get us to the worlds wherever they were going, and he loved planning the trips. And a shout out to Phil Olson. He's the original Beard Team. He's the self-appointed captain of Beard Team USA. And I'm telling you, without him getting young dudes in the United States to go to these competitions, I mean, I don't know where beards would be without that. I mean, it was really more like a German thing or like a European thing. And yeah, I remember reaching out to him on the internet. He's like, yeah, the whole package included, you know, all the stuff is X amount and all you got to do is pay for your airfare. And I remember like, I think I wrote and sent him a check in the mail. I sent a guy a check in the mail
who you've never met.
I've never met. Yeah, like the whole thing is like I did that. And it's so funny because I just started. I'd met my wife and we had started dating, and I was growing my beard as we were like working together, and as I was courting her and everything, and I had to explain to her like I met a person on the internet.
I just gave him some money.
Yeah, I gave him some money. I hope you don't think that's really weird or anything. Like, don't think I'm a fool. All this stuff. And the first one was going to be in like London. It's going to be in Brighton, England. So there's a whole trip, like a 9-day trip over to London, and then like a few days down to Brighton Beach. And not only that, I told her like I think it was probably in the spring or something, and it occurred in September. And I had to tell her, and I was like, you're completely okay if you want to go with me, but it's something I've already planned, and I've sent this guy a check. I'm totally doing it. And she wanted to go. And so I thought that was really cool. And she has luckily she's got some international travel experience. In fact, more than me. I think she had a passport and I didn't. So I had to go get a passport and everything. And I was really glad that she was able to go and to attend. And she's always been like a great travel companion, and actually proposed to her over in London. So that was like it was a strange time. It's like post 9/11. I'm going through like JFK or LaGuardia, one of the major airports, to go over the pond, and something about having a gigantic beard just screams random bag check. You know what I mean? Like this is when like beards aren't accepted quite the way. And I got a diamond ring in my bag. I literally have this diamond ring that I'm like, I'm trying to take this over there. I'm totally going to propose to her overseas. And yeah, man, they had me like, oh, take off your belt, open up the bag, do it. Like doing all these random things. I'm like, what in the hell? Like what sensor went off? This is like pre-TSA level stuff too. And I was like, man, I hope they don't make me pull a diamond ring out of my bag and be like, is this what you're looking for? But I did end up like proposing to her over the Thames, right across from like Westminster Abbey at night, with like the reflection on the water with the Westminster, and it was, it was very, very beautiful.
You got a tear coming from my eye right now.
That's how you got to do it, though.
Yeah, I mean, you did it big.
Yeah, you gotta like. Is any place in America that romantic?
A couple different times.
This new version of you.
You'll get it right eventually.
Hey, third time's a charm, boss.
Yeah, hopefully.
No, man, you're uncuffed now.
Yeah, that's it. I've always been.
Out here.
No, so I'm glad you brought up your wife, but I want to talk about her for a quick second. But what was the category that you became world champion in?
Oh, right, Garibaldi.
Huh?
So Garibaldi.
That sounds like pizza.
Or chocolate.
There is, so that's an odd thing. There actually is a Garibaldi's pizza. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, there's a Garibaldi's pizza in Memphis, Tennessee, where I was
born.
There's
a Grimaldi's too, right? Yeah, the
Yeah,
Garabaldi's
but
and
Garibaldi, it sounds like a pizza. But anyways, I'm sorry.
There is. It's an actual pizza chain. I went to school with some Italians in Memphis, and they have a place called Garibaldi's, and it's actually named after the beard category is named after Giuseppe Garibaldi, who's like an Italian liberator, and he was known for having a beard. So it was really cool, like post beard world, where I'd like go around or you like look up stuff and like you'll see pictures of Giuseppe Garibaldi. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who that is. He's got a beard. That's a point in history. Like, oh yeah, he's got a beard.
I'm gonna Google a picture of Giuseppe Garibaldi.
He's gonna have a beard. So like, there's basically like my hair. This is where it gets kind of weird. So like you get all these different hair categories, and obviously you want to be the best at something and everything. And like my 1 year beard looks like this. It's big. And then my 3 year beard looks like this. It looks the same.
So I have Googled a picture of Giuseppe Garibaldi. And he looks like a mountain man of that time.
Yeah, usually he'll have like one leg forward, like his leg.
It's just a real strong, manly beard.
Yeah.
Looks like he could survive in the Italian winter.
Well, I'm Italian, so like all of a sudden it started to make a lot of sense. Like this must be the kind of beard that I can grow. But the thing is, my beard is a curly beard, as curly as y'all's is. Like y'all's facial hair and your head hair. My hair is the same way. Like I got an Afro pick at home. I had to get all these different styling products. I was using activator. At one point, like I had friends who were like, no. You need to go over here. You need to go to this section.
Let's get you some Luster's Pink Moisturizer.
Yeah. Give us some Motions hair conditioner.
Yeah.
Welcome to our world.
I know, man.
Some So Glow.
So Glow, activator.
So hold on.
All that stuff.
Have you been inside of Sally's Beauty Supply?
Yes.
That's not
awesome.
That's not the
Yes,
true one.
I have.
He's got no. You can go way deeper than that.
I know that, but hey, we'll see how deep he got into the pool.
Yeah.
I like well, the one time I went to this one like salon. I mean, I'd never even been in that world. I mean, they had like the combs, the heated comb, the hot combs. Yeah. I remember walking in this place, man. Those ladies they look over at me and they're like, "Are you lost? Like, what are you?"
In Memphis too, right?
No, this is actually in Springfield, Missouri, which is really weird that
Memphis
that would
was
even
a whole
exist.
nother level.
Memphis would, yeah. I mean, I don't even know how to.
We should have walked in like, anybody braiding hair?
Probably could.
So like there's this inspiration. You see all the styled beards and all this stuff, and then I find out like my beard is not stylable. Like one dude even said like you would never style that. Like you'd have to get like a flat iron, a hot,
press it out.
Yeah, you'd have to do all that stuff. You're gonna damage it. And so I thought like I had these big dreams of like I'm gonna have a big old styled beard. I'm gonna do all this stuff, and then I come to realize like I just got like a curly mass of hair on my beard, on my face. But it was cool because like at least my like some of the other friends, the bearded guys, like some of them were really envious of that. Like it made it seem cool, which I was like, that's how like inclusive and cool the community was, because they're like, dude, you have like a cool beard. Like I wish I had your beard. And I'm like, no, I wish I had your beard, man. But
I wish I had y'all's beard.
well, like I could like pull the hair down, and it would come like all the way down to my chest, and if I let go, you didn't know which hair it was. Like it would just spring right back. It was just a mass of hair. And some of these dudes, they put like a pencil in their beard, and it just like it's gonna fall through. And I can fit 50 pencils in here. They ain't moving. Like I can just sit here and just shove objects in my beard, and it won't move. Like it's just so curly and wiry and thick. But then like that was my category. So like when I went out there, I ended up winning. I think in like 2011, went to Trondheim, Norway. That was where one of the international beard competitions was, and I ended up placing, and it was cool. I like was able to say I'm a beard champion now,
which to this day, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Now let's kind of switch gears, because you told that beautiful kind of poetic story, romantic story about your wife, and I want to spend a little bit of time here. You didn't date a lot in high school, and I'm assuming college, right?
Didn't date any, pretty much. Yeah.
And then, but we live in this world that's so impacted by media, right? And now, especially social media, right? We didn't really have that when we were coming up, but maybe it was at the beginning phase or state. It was at the beginning stages of that. But point being, you had a lot of different influencers or drivers, like telling people how you should feel, what you should be doing, how you should work here, you should do all this stuff. And you're kind of trekking along on your own path. And you find this woman who accepts you for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know kind of from an emotional or mental perspective, like what that must have felt like, somebody that's going to accept all of this hair on my back. And like, I mean, that's a big,
it was a hard sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like or a big ask. I mean, it was, I don't know. I can recall at least, I think the first time, not to be like, you're going to get to that point where like, the intimacy and stuff. And it's like, well, she's going to find out sooner or later or whatever it may be. If she was fine with it. I mean, that's the other thing too.
She didn't get her hand stuck in your back when you were working.
Not quite. She didn't want to light it on fire or anything either. But in general, like, I don't know. You get. I wasn't nervous about it though. That was another thing. Like, I just like, if it's meant to be, like, I'm not gonna be this person walking around who's known as being the hairiest man on the planet. And it's sure enough, decade later, maybe I will be, but she's gonna accept me for who I am, and we work together. I will say this: the place that we worked was a very I don't want to say traumatic. It was a high stress place. It was actually a children's mental hospital, and we both worked there for years. And so what I would say is there's a lot, like you see like the real true side of somebody when they're working in a crisis scenario.
Yeah, especially with a child.
Yeah. And so that's where she started to probably see more of me as a real human and like how, I almost want to say like almost how heroic you can be. Like, you're going to do certain things or be in scenarios, and there's obviously some dangerous scenarios and things that can happen. This is a children's psych hospital ranging from, small little 3, 4, 5-year-olds all the way up to age 18. So you can have people as aggressive that, their next step is going to be behind bars or some sort of go between. Mm-hmm. And then you have people who are like child sex offenders or people who have been offended and all kinds of stuff. So you just see the people who work there, and there's a lot of good people that work in those places. Like, you're going to see the better sides of those people if they can help another person and step up to the plate. So I think my wife definitely accepted me for that. She knew what I was more capable of, and then outside of that, you have like a playful sort of like, hey, you're funny. You just want to like have fun, and the hair and all that stuff and the acceptance, that was all just gravy. I think by then.
That's dope.
Yeah, but I will say this: we started to grow together, and
not grow hair.
You grow together, and
pun
like
intended.
Yeah, I find like our wives,
couples that grow hair together.
Yes.
Good Lord.
She had to put up with it. She got pretty tired of it. I think some of her comments, at least when we were overseas, like over in London, she's like, "I'm so tired of people stopping you on the street and asking for your picture," or like. And it's so weird. I was like, I don't know what else to tell you. That's kind of like what we're here for. It'll all be over. We'll go back, and it won't happen like that. But I started being vegan around the time I started dating her. So I actually get to claim I've been vegan longer than I've been married. And I think we just celebrated. Oh my gosh, we just celebrated 14 years, so 15 years is on the horizon.
Jeez, thus.
Yeah, so that's a long time.
It's time for steaks to celebrate.
Yeah. Steak to celebrate.
Cauliflower steak.
Cauliflower steak. But it was really cool to be able to have, like, you mentioned how it is to accept somebody for who you are,
right,
or to be different and walk a different path. And to me, like, it was a choice. Like, all of a sudden, I found some information, I read a book, I educated myself, and all of a sudden I made like a big lifestyle change. And it's something that's just a part of me. And it's hard. Like it's a running joke. Like, how are you going to find out who the vegan is in the room? It's like, don't worry, they'll tell you.
Yep. That's absolutely true.
Like, don't worry.
From a guy who used to work in a restaurant, that is exactly that is the absolute truth. You don't even have to ask, like, oh, by the way, I'm vegan. It's like, okay, well, half the menu just flew out the window.
Yeah. They're gonna tell you. There's even like, I think I saw a comic where like there's a dude standing at a urinal and some other guy's like standing there, and then like the next frame's like, I'm vegan. He just like just looks over. By the way, I'm vegan. So, but that's a huge lifestyle change, and it's a huge change for her too. And like she accepted it. A lot of people think like the woman is the one who makes the man become vegan, or you probably were trying to score with her, and so you were doing whatever it took. And it's like, No, it's kind of the other way around.
That's desperate as a mother. Yeah, you gotta change your whole eating habits.
I think I've heard
so
that.
jaded right
No, that's not jade. I mean, jadism. That like if you're gonna change your whole eating lifestyle just to get.
It's love, man.
No. That's not what he said. He said just to get climb the mountain.
Yeah, I know.
So, anyways, I'm sorry.
No, I mean
This is awesome.
It's what people usually assume, and it's really cool to be like, no, that was my choice, and I could go real deep into like what that all means to me and everything, but it's not necessary. My biggest thing is like I did it for health, and I wasn't necessarily an unhealthy person either. It's just something I was pursuing, and then you want to think, well, I'm so counterculture, with the beard and hipster vegan beard, heavy metal, whatever it may be that's like different about me. But the thing is, veganism has been around for decades, and it's definitely catching on. I can't believe how mainstream it is, where it's like,
I don't want to go down this vegan road right now.
I did it before it's cool. That's what I'm trying to say now.
But I mean, you had vegetarians way before all of this. Like, why are we making it such a big deal? But I just wanted to make sure that we gave your wife her props and her shine, if you will, because I think that's very big of her. Like, she's a vegan too now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so she accepts you for who you are. You guys have great chemistry, great relationship. Across the pond, right? And now she's a vegan. I just think it's really cool that you're able to be who you are at all times, and you have someone that also supports that. So I just think that's a dope story.
Yeah, that's hard to come by. I totally understand. Like that's
what I wanted to cover. Yeah,
it's a rare thing, and I'm glad we got married, and she's just been the best companion.
Good thing too.
Yeah. Well, there's all those things. It's almost like, do I brag about it or not? I don't know. I mean, every day I'm like, I cannot believe this woman chose to be with me, and like every day we make each other laugh, and it's just like, I don't know. I think the longer the years, like the more years go by, you just get like softer and softer about it.
Is she growing more hair on her arms or anything?
No, the funny thing is, like I think she just shaved her legs. Like we went down to like Corpus for the weekend or something like that, but I don't even think she really needs to shave her legs. Like I can't really feel her hair until she shaves her legs, and then it's like more prickly. I'm like, you have so few hairs, you might as well just let it grow out. I don't really care.
Trust me, I'm an expert.
Yeah, I am. Like, I really don't care. Like, you can barely even see them, so I'm like, I don't really care. But
so I kind of started this show talking about like this humility and spirit, right? And you're super fun. I don't even know how long we've been recording, but I mean, it flows. You know what I mean? And so. One of the things that we talked about offline or off air was your job, right? I think this is really cool, and this because I didn't know the story about the wife, and I didn't even know the Westminster beard challenge, or I didn't know any of that when we first talked. But what I did hear was your employment situation and what you were going through, and I just looked at you and like. With grace and but also with like confidence, like, yo, this is where I'm at, and I was just like, yo, that is amazing. So, to all of our visionaries, and those are the people that that rock with us, let's talk about your journey, right? So what's interesting is were you in Colorado? Was that
yeah, last year?
Okay,
last year.
So you work for a national grocery chain store, right? Not a huge brand, but at least we all know it, right? And you moved from one location to Denver.
Yeah, I moved from I was back home in Springfield. Mo.
Okay.
That was like during COVID, and then went to Denver to train for this company.
Yep. So you went and uprooted, took your wife.
Yeah.
Right. She goes along with you. You're up in Denver. You guys do that for a period of time, and then. Recently, within 2023, you moved to Texas.
Yeah, a little old town, Fredericksburg, Texas.
Into Fredericksburg.
Yeah. So it was like 2 moves. That was like one of the biggest commitments too, where it's like, I want to go do this. So it was like, well, you're going to move to Denver, and then you're going to move again.
Yeah.
You're gonna finish and you got to move again. So I got real lucky that we were able to do that. And I don't know. I mean, just kind of backtrack and give like some really broad scope of how it all came to be. Like, we moved to Austin, Texas in 2014. And that was for her. Like, she had a career. Both of us have our master's degrees. We were living just a quiet life in Springfield, Missouri, where every Christmas and every family gathering takes place and all that stuff. And one day she's like, I really want to do more. And, you know, it is linked to some of the veganism. Like, I went back to school after becoming vegan to pursue a master's degree in health. Yeah. And she wanted to become a culinary chef. And so she looked up some of the places. You got like American Culinary Institute, certain places, and she found some like vegan, vegetarian, macrobiotic, Ayurvedic culinary school.
Jesus.
And I know all this
whole lot of audits.
Gluten-free, low sodium, free range, whatever, all the way in Austin, Texas. And so we just like, that was like our first big, like, we are leaving home. We are doing something else. And I was like, I will find a job there if that's what you really want to do. And so we moved to Austin. She went and did that. I obviously found small work and still doing some, I mean, that's when I started pursuing more of the YouTube stuff and everything as well. And she got a couple different jobs. And then by 2017, 2018, she wanted to go back to school again. She wanted to get a PhD. And she actually like studied more, applied, did all that. And so by 2018, she's like, I've got 2 places I can go for a PhD. She had been accepted, and one of them was Boston. And so I was like, okay. So we looked around, and one of them was it Bloomington, Indiana, I think, and then the other one was Boston. So yeah, we moved like, from 2014, living in Austin, living in a big city, going from small town life to big city life. Then we go to Boston. We were there for 2 years, and she's getting through some of her program, and then COVID happened. So we moved back to Springfield as soon as she kind of finished like the in-person part of her program. After that, and then of course with COVID and everything, like everything's remote.
The world changed.
The world totally changed. So I was like, I'm not gonna sit here and live in Boston and just be paying out the teeth. So to go kind of fast forward a little bit, we've lived in 5 different cities in the past 5 years. I mean, wow. 2018 was Austin to Boston. 2020 was Boston to Springfield. 2022 was Denver. Like last year was Denver. Then now back to Fredericksburg, Texas. I mean, we started like we're moving and doing all these things. So as far as like being humble about it is like it's kind of been part of that. Like we just move around and everything. And I was ready to develop a career at this point. Like I got into a company. I'm like, yeah, I'm 40. I don't mind doing 20 years for a company. I'm ready to do this. I want to build some financial wealth, do whatever. Like, we have no kids. I'm ready to just devote the second half of my life, whatever it may be. Like, I'm ready for the career. And yeah, we moved, and it's not easy to like break lease or find incomplete leases. Like we were only in Denver for like 9 or 10 months. So it's like, that's a hard lease to find. And then we knew we had to move within like a couple of weeks to Fredericksburg. So I was like, okay, get whatever lease we can. We got like a 15-month lease. So we still got almost like an entire year there. And I was there for about 3 months, and I lost my job. And I was just like, I don't know. I was prepared to do it all. I was working really hard. I was working 60 hours, sometimes up to 70 hours a week. And I was just ready to devote my life to a company. And
snip.
It's gone.
Up out of there.
So. You say it all the time. They don't really love us like that. And the second that you're done, they'll have a posting up before your obituary is finished, right?
100%.
So that I guess leads into like the whole bodybuilding / YouTube thing, right? Because this is how I discovered you. Like he sent me a text. He's like, "Hey, I found her a guest." And he sends me a YouTube video of this guy getting like all this hair shaved off of him. I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "This is our next guest on the show." I was like, "What?" So how do you venture into the world of bodybuilding? And obviously, they're all the hair you have. Like, obviously, you're a little bit different than the average guy at Gold's Gym.
Yeah. So there's always something going against you, like whether it was being the bearded person. It's like, well, now I got the curliest beard. I only got one category I can compete in. I can't even like style my beard. I can't do it. It's just like, this is all you got.
You got black people here.
Yeah, I do. It's like just.
How you understand?
It's just a fro on my face,
hey,
man.
My boy.
But I get to understand that part. I like it because I get to like.
You get it now.
Yeah, I get it. But then, yeah, like once you go into bodybuilding, most people, I took off my shirt to be like, you don't have what it takes for body. Like this is too much. Like this is too much of a problem. You know, like you got too much hair. Like I honestly was ready to go out on stage looking like that. I didn't know.
Like, he'd have gone out.
Yeah, I was like, is this
Wolverine,
not
bro.
cool? And I remember like talking to one of the guys, and he's like, you got to shave it off. You're not there to look hairy. You're there to look ripped and muscular. They do not see through your hair and just determine like, well, that must be what's under there. That must be fun. Like, no. You need to show off everything you have. So, yeah, I'd say like somewhere back where I had a beard, I made like my first viral video, and I'm talking like filmed it, uploaded it, never did anything. And when you put like the right combination of words in there, and I'm not like, I mean, everything's clickbait, but like you also want to maximize your exposure. If you're going to make something to be art or be clicked on, you want it to be clicked on. You're not like, just put this out here. And so I remember putting like world beard champion shaves off his beard. Like there had already been like some videos of people like shaving off their beard, getting a before and after with their daughter who had never seen, like a dad had never seen, a daughter had never seen their father, you know, without a beard, or the pets freak out when they see a man without a beard, you know, or something like that. Like those things existed, but world beard champion shaves off beard was like, oh, that's the magic combination. And like, it got viral enough, and it was like, well, you know, it was enough to have like, you know, a subscriber count that's building and all that stuff. I don't think I ever really touched much of the YouTube from that video. And then I started really like getting into so much health stuff, working out. And I was like, I'm going to go do a competition, I guess. Like you eventually put that carrot on a stick, like make a goal. I don't even care what it is. It's like, just like someone who's going to go run a marathon. It's like, well, you're going to run more than you've ever ran at once. You're building towards a goal. So if you at least like running and doing that, put the goal out there. So I was like, I'm going to go to this competition. It was a really cool play. They do it every year. I think it's pretty much a yearly thing. It's the Naturally Fit Games in Austin, Texas, which fits really well because it's like Austin's pretty fit. They're pretty granola eating hippies and all that stuff. I don't know. So you go to the Naturally Fit Games, which is just no steroids, no nothing. Like it's all just like, you know, like toned down. I mean, I think one of the winners might get like a pro card or something like that. And there are pros that go there, but there's no unnatural substances. It is the Naturally Fit Games. So.
Chicken breast and green beans.
Yeah, just real plain.
Not for him.
Tofu and broccoli. So I went to that, just hitting the gym, doing everything healthy, building towards a health goal. And I just knew like, I'm going to make a video. I got to shave this off anyways. So I knew I was going to film it all the same way I did the beard thing. And I'm like, I'm going to film this and I'm going to upload it. And I knew like it was going to be viral. I knew it was going to be really viral. And I had like the thing in my head, like, you know, world's hairiest bodybuilder shaves chest and back for bodybuilding. Like what for bodybuilding? Like as big as the title, it's got all the words in there. You look for world's hairiest something, you're finding that. You're looking for bodybuilding. No one's a hairy bodybuilder, all this stuff. But you usually got those like transformation videos where people just taking like the pictures every day and they're going through like, here's where I was. And then like 18 months later or 6 months later, here's how ripped I am. But no one had like here's what I look like with my shirt off and I'm hairy. And then I got to shave all that off. It's like, here's what I actually look like transformation wise. And that was like, I mean, to the day I could like, it was exactly like 7 days, 1 week after I put that video out there. And then it went viral. But am I a bodybuilder? I mean, you know, I think the biggest compliment I could get on that video, people are like, man, that's what steroids do to you. And I'm like, other guys are like, you think that's what steroids is, man?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That guy doesn't touch steroids. Like that's not what someone who does steroids is like. But if you go to those competitions, they have like physique, you know, like you don't have to be the biggest muscles like, you know, Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler or Arnold Schwarzenegger, whatever the biggest names in the biz are. You don't have to look like that. They have like how fit looking are you? It's basically like, you know, it's kind of like, and it's again,
the perfection of the human body.
Yeah, we're back to like the Westminster. There's different categories. There are. And so, yeah, I had like, you know, just to go out there on stage. And it was so, to wrap it up with my wife and everything too, like she was my biggest fan there. Like it used to be like, I'm so tired of you having a beard. I'm so tired of being stopped on the street and people are taking our picture or your picture and all that stuff. And then it was just so humbling. Like I look back at the video that she shot, she was there. Not a lot of other like vegan dudes were there. Usually there's like a group of vegan bodybuilders and that community is growing online and everything. And there was like no one there. Usually the vegan bodybuilders are going to go to the Austin, Texas Naturally Fit Games. And there's no one there. I was not part of a team. I didn't have any support. I had like maybe one or two other people there who knew me, but like the only person there was my wife. And I'm telling you, like looking back at the video, and she's the one cheering for me. And she loved it. And it was just like, that was real. Like,
I like your wife.
Yeah. You know what it is though? You just get that partner in life. Like, we don't have kids. We don't have that other stuff going on. We don't have kids. So it's like, who's the other person who like, no matter what, supports you for who you are and the decisions you make and the best and the worst of times, like all that stuff. It's the vows and everything, but it's like, but she does. And I do for her too. Like we uprooted twice. We went to Austin, Texas. We go to Boston. Like we live our lives together and we accept as good and as bad as it gets.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I kind of told you there was a lot here, right?
It's good though.
Yeah, it's really, really, really cool, man. I'm honored and to understand or get a better understanding, I should say, of all this stuff, right? But what's super interesting is that you take a guy who a lot of people would look at it as a negative and say, "Oh my God, I got all this hair, blah blah blah." Like, look at me, I don't have no hair in my arms. But they would say, "Why am I plagued with this?" Right? But you've parlayed that into two separate judging competitions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's amazing to me. You know,
Dude, thanks.
I think that's so freaking cool.
I think you really nailed it on the head where it's like the cool thing about the videos, and there's like, I have like a small following. I hope to make it bigger. I'm getting back into it. I'm just going back to, back to the old drawing board. But I think there's a lot more there than just being the hairy personality on the internet. A lot of dudes, I mean, when people say I read the comments, when people say that about what people read the comments. So, and when I do, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many people say like, I used to be I'm like so hairy and uncomfortable about it. And this video made me feel so much better about it. I'm like, and that's real. Like, I don't care if it
is
one person or 10 or 1,000. And there's thousands of comments on there from the good and the bad. And there's literally just comments from people all over the world. Doesn't matter what nationality, what country or whatever. And they're like, dude, this inspires me. Or like, I'm really hairy and ashamed. And they're just like, you have so much confidence. You turned it into something positive. Yeah. I'm so glad that like there's something like that. And I think it'll be, if I could, I would, the whole trend of the beards, I think at some point, like maybe hairy chested dudes will be more accepted. We'll be back where like the Burt Reynolds era, where like the dudes with chest hair will be like normal and like
good old Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. And it's like, that's okay. And I mean, dudes have been shaving their chest for years or fighting with that and doing all the manscaping and whatever. And it's like, yeah, I think we're in an era where like facial hair, head hair, doesn't matter what it is, body hair.
Well, hold on.
Not all the body hair, but I mean, Well, you want to pull out the Step Brothers? Like, have you seen that scene in Step Bros? My chest pubes down to my dick fro. Oh man.
I'm not going down that road. But Pia, is it time to land the plane?
It is.
It's
Thank
been
you
amazing.
for booking this guest.
Yeah,
this
for sure.
Really good. So as we close the show out, Devin, thank you. First of all, thank you for making the trip. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you guys. And
he drove up here and he studied, so he can't come with the normal.
Yeah. Hey. So yes, we can, because we have no idea what his perspective is going to be.
Well, I'm curving it.
There's a round table, and you get 5 other guests at your table. Who are your guests at the table, dead or alive? The only stipulation is it can't be, God or Jesus, whatever religious entity you believe in.
Okay. So, if I had to pick 5 people, dead or alive, gotta have Jimi Hendrix in there.
There it is. I don't think so. If we've had
We
somebody
gotta
say
go to the
Jimi
archives
Hendrix,
on that
it's
one.
been a minute.
Really? I had to like think. So I'm glad I'm glad I was doing
Yeah.
a little preparation.
Yeah,
I want to
we-
do my homework and then
Yeah,
not get
it's
the
a
same test
softball. He gave you a
questions.
softball.
But the weird thing is about Jimmy is he's part of the 27 Club, so he doesn't have a lot of wisdom. He died young,
Mm-hmm.
but
I didn't realize he was that young.
Isn't that weird?
I
I know.
Like,
I was
he was
like,
like his early 30s. I know he was 27.
didn't he conquer the world or do all this? Like, no, man.
I
Like,
didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
died before the Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's like in her 30s right now,
She's
right? Like,
she's old.
Yep.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, you
Yeah.
see people like the
But
prodigy.
Tupac died at what, like 25, 26 years old, I think.
There's
So,
some, yeah. But I have
Yeah,
Jimmy
Jimmy.
there, and I picked Yuval Noah Harari.
Who's that?
He's an author.
Okay.
He's an extremely intelligent dude. I think his nationality, I think he's over in Israel, but he's like a world author now. He did a book called Sapiens.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of he's done a few. He's got like a lot of history and all this stuff. But I
Living?
really
He's
love
still
him.
living?
Yeah, he's still alive.
Okay.
I think he might be the only live person on this list too. By the way,
Is it a long book?
I can't even recall. I did it like book on tape, which I'm totally like fine consuming books like that because when you got to commute in Texas, like you can finish a book in like a couple of weeks doing
Yeah.
your hourly commute. Like, but great book. And then
Sapiens.
Sapiens.
Add that to the list.
That one's good. You got that one's good. Temujin.
You're so deep.
Now his name, more commonly we know him as Genghis Khan, but he's the greatest conqueror in the history of the world.
A historian buff over
Of
here.
history. I think he is one of the most fascinating people. If I could just go back in time, be a fly on the wall, the two people I would love to just watch and see what the hell's going on would be him during his reign, just to see it in real time.
Yeah.
And then I think the most underappreciated person, it's obviously open to everybody's opinion, but I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Geronimo was rolling around. And I always say, I would love to have been there the day he decided he wasn't taking it no more.
Yeah.
The day he just like, man, F all this, y'all just going to come and get me. That I would love to be in the TP or whatever, wherever he was when that thought hit his mind. He said, "The hell with all this, I'm not doing it."
Yeah. I hear you. I like the fact that I think they've traced back Genghis Khan. I think it's like 1 out of every 7 people in China. So
Something like
all
that.
1/7 cousins.
Mm-hmm.
That's how around the world, in America, I think we're all 1/12 cousins or whatever. But over there, they're all 1/7 cousins. That's how conquering he was.
He was out there.
He was out there.
All right,
Sowing the
we got-
wild oats. But
So we got Jimmy, we got Genghis
I'm gonna go do some
Khan.
research.
Yeah, we got Jimmy, Genghis Khan, the
Harari,
author.
Yuval Noah Harari.
2 more.
Let me see. I had to pick an artist. It was kind of a toss up, but I was like, I gotta give some props to my Italian heritage. I'll go with Da Vinci.
Cool.
Of course, he's extremely brilliant too.
He's like
Batting 1,000 right now.
for real.
Yeah. Was that, or I was like, maybe Picasso? But then I looked up and
He's not Italian, though, is he?
his name is. So that's the thing. His name is.
I don't think he was actually.
But he's like Spain.
Yeah, he wasn't
and,
actually Italian.
No, I mean, lineage wise, he's. But Picasso's pretty. But anyways, Da Vinci. And then my last one. This one's this is on no one's list. In fact, I don't really know how to.
You've hit 4 people that's on.
Yeah, keep
We've
going.
been doing this for 5 years, and
Oh, for real?
yeah,
Yeah.
we haven't had any of
This one's gonna
pretty
blow
good.
your mind. You're not gonna have this one. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I think it's T Quang Nuke.
Who is?
So I'll give you a little. Here's how you find out who this person is. You guys ever heard of the band Rage Against the Machine?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. You guys ever seen? So they have their self-titled album. You can Google this, by the way. You look up Rage Against the Machine, first album, self-titled, Rage Against the Machine. The cover of that album, he's on it. So this dude, let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to propose. He's a Buddhist monk.
Okay.
Okay.
And this guy, that picture of him on Rage Against the Machine's album, that won Time Magazine. You can just Google it. Yeah, that won Time Magazine's Picture of the Year.
I'm Googling this.
I know, and it's so weird because I've listened to Rage Against the Machine, grew up a metalhead, all this stuff, and I don't even think it was probably till 5 or 6 years ago or sometime in my later life where I was like, I didn't know that was like that's a real person on the cover of that album. And it just didn't really stand. Like, so he's a Buddhist monk, and he gets in his car, he drives all the way to Saigon.
Wait a minute. He's a monk with a car?
Hang on.
Okay.
So this is during the Buddhist crisis over there. This is back in the 60s. This is like JFK's president and everything. And this guy drives, gets out of his car, douses himself with gasoline, sits down in a crowded intersection, and lights himself on fire. Did you see the picture?
Yes, I did.
He self-immolates. He lights himself on fire. He's just sitting there cross-legged, and the photographer takes these pictures. It's got, like, he's protesting the South Vietnam president because they had killed some Buddhist monks. Like, all of a sudden, like, the government is not hospitable towards this religion. And this is him, like, making a statement. And I remember just, you see this picture, the guy wins, like, Time Magazine Picture of the Year. JFK's like, this is one of the most historic.
There's that photo.
Photos.
And the image of the guy getting his brains blown out in Vietnam.
Yeah, and then like maybe like the Earth, when they took the picture of Earth from outer space, you know. Mm-hmm. And so this picture, it says like the act and everything, this dude, but the picture says more to me. And I just didn't know growing up, looking at that album, I didn't even know if it was real or not. I don't know who the guy was. And I'll tell you what, no matter who you are, if you go and, I don't know a Buddhist monk right now. I don't know one by name. There's not someone I idolize who's a Buddhist monk.
None of them are willing to set themselves on fire, though.
Right. And this guy was nobody until this thing happened. And I'm not saying people are nobodies, but it's the statement and everything. But to me, it's the picture. So, of course, the act and everything to protest in this way. But if you look at that picture and that dude's face, he knows what he's going to do. I mean, any person, I mean, it's a taboo thing to do that, to take one's life. But to go through all that stuff mentally, to decide you're going to do this because your Buddhist brothers have been killed, and then he knows he's going to leave this earth. And when you look at that picture, and just all of a sudden it hit me, I was like, his face is just calm and quiet.
Because he had already left. Mentally, he'd already left.
You know what? I mean, I don't know about you, but if I've ever even touched a stove, and you're like, this dude is sitting cross-legged on the ground, lights himself on fire, and his face is peaceful. He's not flailing. He's not screaming, not nothing. And he left the earth. And that was his statement. And like, you think about what people do when they meditate and they build themselves. We didn't really get into too much in this podcast about building oneself up and being strong and how we, set goals and reach plateaus and all this stuff. But that dude was stronger mentally than I don't think I'll ever be, to not only choose to do that act, but to just not show pain. Like, bodily pain meant nothing to this dude. He lit himself on fire and just sat there. And then
mind is a powerful thing, man.
He took the Mamba mentality and 10x on it.
Hey, mind is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious now. What do you want to ask him or talk about?
What don't you ask somebody with mental strength?
Yeah,
I mean,
saying,
what do you like? What does it take to be that strong?
You have to ask. You'll never know.
Yeah, like I just
Right.
What level of meditation?
That's the type of answer you probably get.
What the hours and years, and I mean, there's a Malcolm Gladwell book over there. You got like Outliers. We all know the 10,000 hours to be considered an expert or whatever. That guy's probably a million hours. I don't even know, like, how many hours does it take to have that level of strength that you can light yourself on fire and not show any pain. That's your statement. I'm not weak. This is not like, we are not weak. You have to respect us. And like, what is it like to devote your entire, and that's the weird thing that like some of the Asian and Eastern cultures as opposed to America. We live a very small-minded life where like a career might be 5 or 10 years or 20 years. Those dudes spend their entire life. Their lifetime's devoted to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Their life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Wow. That was probably one of the most in-depth
It's one heck of a table.
tables with thought behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to you.
Yo, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Man.
Real quick, for all of our visionaries that are still tuning in, how can our visionaries get a hold of you? What's your social media handles, your YouTube page, all that good stuff?
It's just gonna be my full name. World's Hairiest Bodybuilder. No, it's you just Devin Cara, DevinCara. It's pretty nice. It's not it's not a terribly common name, so I mean it's pretty easy to find that on YouTube. And just look it up, and there you'll find me.
DevinCara.
Yeah, it's YouTube /Devin Cara, and that's how you find me.
Okay. Obviously, you've listened to the show. You kind of know what's coming next. So what's the long-term vision for one Devin Cara?
Oh, man. You know what? Actually, I wasn't really – I don't know. That's a hard thing because I am like real shifty and moving around. My wife and I are really some no roots kind of people and just doing whatever life throws at us and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I really hope for like more success out of the YouTube thing. That's now like my full focus.
You got a big event coming up soon?
I do. They have the Hairy Man competition. So, and this is a fun little factoid. I attended this when we first moved to Austin because I found out like that's where it takes place. It takes place in like Round Rock, not far. And like one of the beard guys was like, dude, you totally need to go do that. You'd win. And then we moved to Austin. I'm like, I'm totally going to go do this and I'm going to win. And I didn't win. It was so weird. I thought like, well, so the festival celebrates people who are hairy. It's like some legend of a dude who goes into hiding and comes out and emerges very hairy, like no manscaping. And I was like shaved head, didn't have a beard, but I'm a hairy dude. And it's so weird to go to this competition. The judges were like, is that real? You would think you would win something called the Hairy Man Festival if they're asking, is that real?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's real. And I didn't win.
Oh, no.
I didn't win.
There's somebody there hairier than you.
Well, they voted for this other dude. He had like long dreads and a beard and a decent amount of body hair. He embodied what they were looking for.
Oh, gotcha.
And so now I'm like, I look like a fledgling in my mind right now with all this just hair. Like I'm just growing hair no matter what.
How long is this going to take you to get it out there? Because you said like 1 year versus 3 years, it's all the same, but like you're a couple of weeks, this is happening next week.
This
right?
this is like next week. It's about as good as it gets, but maybe I want to win because there is a little cash payout. I think that's cool. But then also for the content. So it's kind of more last minute than I'm going to grow out.
Is your arm hair going to grow more?
No, actually this isn't. And you know what I did? I actually dyed my chest hair last week. I've never dyed my hair, so I literally got the jet black hair.
Oh, wow.
That's what I didn't realize. Like, so I'm a little different than my brothers. My brothers have like the werewolf knuckles. They have dark hair on their
they
forearms.
Shave it, don't they?
No, they don't. They don't. Like, where you see like your knuckle, and mine's like, it's blonde. It actually is blonde, and then my chest hair is like brown. And I just thought it was black. I mean, it's so dark to me. I was like, this must be black. So I got like black hair dye, and it does not. It's faded into. It looks okay now, but I wanted to get rid of the grays because like my grays are really hard to see. I want to make it look as good as possible. Yeah, I want it to look really good. So I dyed my chest hair and stuff, but that's coming up, and oh my God, I'm gonna win this time. I'm keeping like the white hair on my face and everything. I think that looks cool and it's natural, but if I don't win this time, I mean, maybe one more swing at it, but how do I not win at this point? So
you got our vote.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right. So, what advice would you be giving yourself from 5 years ago?
From 5 years ago, you would think that this advice has already been given to me, and of course, it's given to everybody, really. But it's like, stick with what you like doing. Like, if I would have stuck with some of the YouTube stuff, I know it would be like more than just taking off. And in fact, it's kind of gone dormant. And I wish I just would have kept doing it. And, you know, I think I probably would have thought back then, oh, that's silly, or it's ridiculous, or what are people going to say about you, or whatever. And now I'm to the point where, like, I don't care what people say about me. I'll do it. Like, it's just, you only live once. Go for it, man.
Sure.
Like, do it. So I probably would tell myself, just don't be afraid. Do what you love doing. When life says you're good at this, or this is what we think you're going to be doing, like, you know, when the internet chooses you and says, like, this is fun, you should do this. And I tell myself 5 years ago, keep doing it.
Love that. What advice would the older version of yourself be giving you today?
So I think, like, the nature of that I'm like, you know, I'm glad I did a little homework, but I think, you know, you got to just keep doing more. Like, day in and day out, you devote yourself to something, and sometimes you got to keep pouring yourself into it. I think I was listening to one of your, like, I think it was the Uncuffed or whatever, but it's like, when you push yourself to that edge, and then all of a sudden you're doing these things, like, the universe will show you more. Like, here's what happens when you actually fully devote yourself. So I think the harder part is that kind of daily grind, devoting yourself. It's like, you just got to pour yourself into it and do it no matter what. So
That's dope. That's dope. Last question of the episode. Since you did some prep work, right, we gave you some softball questions. If you were a book, what would be the name of your title?
Oh.
Yeah.
Does it need to be like a clickbait title? I don't know, man.
It's on you. This is your book.
Oh, man. The Vegan Yeti.
The Vegan Yeti.
It's pretty good.
Adventures of the Vegan Yeti. How about that?
Adventures of the Vegan Yeti. Hairy Adventures of the Vegan Yeti.
Yes, that would be it.
Love it. I love it. Devin, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. That's kind of weird. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mo.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much. Again, the humility, the kindness, the storytelling, and the willingness to just jump all the way in to a complete stranger. I mean, we met that day or night, whatever it was, and I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
My life is enriched having met you, and so very grateful for that. Visionaries, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. This has been amazing experience for us. And so remember, each one of our guests that are jumping into the lab or dropping nuggets of wisdom, it's up to you, my friends, to pick those nuggets up.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. Thank you again to our guest, Devin Cara. And we'll see you guys next time on episode number 200 of the Vision Lab podcast.
Blessings.